Awesome New Technology is a fixture of the HR Technology Show, where in the summertime we review just dozens and dozens of new solutions and new innovations, and we select and showcase the ones that we think have developed the most important, innovative, and interesting new technologies that have been developed over the last year. Each of our presenting companies has about 10 minutes or so to showcase their latest awesome innovation for you in what is a fast-moving and really fun and exciting session. So hopefully by the end of the hour, you'll agree with me that each one is indeed awesome. All right, let's get right to it. Manning, the co-founder and CEO from YouEarnedIt. Please welcome Autumn.
I feel like we should hug.
Oh, yeah, hug it out. There you go.
Hi, everybody. I noticed he was shaking everyone's hands, and we're from Austin, so I felt like we had to hug. I'm so excited. I can see some faces. This is the first year after attending HR Tech for a couple of years that I see some familiar faces, a lot of tops of heads. But I will say the familiarity is nice when you're up here and there's a clock counting down to make sure you don't go over time. So I'm up here gladly representing YouEarnedIt and HighGround, which very excited about the recent we have. And I want to talk about what happens when you combine culture, engagement, and all of these things that we actually do, all of us in the room that are doing regularly for our teams, and performance, and real-time performance data. What happens when you bring those together to actually develop amazing cultures and drive performance in real time? And I'm one of those people who I genuinely believe that CEOs and business leaders and leaders of our organization genuinely want to do right by our people, that they do wake up in the middle of the night wondering, how do I create an amazing experience for my team? What's missing in our culture that I need to prioritize? What's happening with this person that I can do better? But despite the investment and the money and all of the AI and the technology and everything that we have now that's pouring into the people side of our business, why is it so hard for us to deliver on that promise that we make when we're recruiting people and we're selling them on joining our organizations? Why has it been so hard to develop cultures and teams that really do drive their own performance and engagement very organically? I think a lot of it has to do with, and as you look at our platforms, especially as they've come together, really where we start. And if you step back and you ask what's important to employees and just yourself, when you think about what really matters, what are those foundational things that matter to actually drive performance and engagement, we think about four things. I, as an employee, I want to deeply connect. I want to connect with my colleagues, my peers. I certainly want to have a meaningful relationship and connection with my manager, and I want to connect to the company that I've decided to join. Meaning is really interesting because if you look at the importance of engagement and performance and meaning and purpose, what's my role? How do I uniquely fit here? And how is my manager and my company actually aligning that to when we're successful and what we've done to succeed? Meaning also comes into play, certainly in our rewards approach. So how do you create not just a robust rewards approach, but a personalized and meaningful experience? What's rewarding to me is very different than the next person. Impact is one of my favorite ones. It always gives me hope for humanity. When you look at our platform and you look at our user data, having the ability to give, not get, actually is more correlated to team engagement and performance and satisfaction. And so you see this play out in really interesting ways in the platform. And then finally, I want to be good at my job. I want to know that what I'm doing every day is appreciated and recognized. And if you can tie that to core values of a company, values of my manager and my team, and the skills that are really important, game over. I'll continue to repeat those, and other people will also see those as well. So for us, the interesting thing is what happens when you actually bring a technology together. You focus on these four aspects for the employee, always in every product feature, and you pull together the power of culture and engagement and performance, what happens to the insights that actually come alive for your managers and leaders? Of course, for us, a lot of it starts with recognition, real-time feedback and recognition, tying that recognition and that feedback first and foremost to company core values. There's a huge difference in performance on teams and cultures when you actually align real-time feedback and recognition to the core values. to key skills of the organization, and you give that power to the employees to actually shout out all day, every day. So that's a key component to this connection piece. And then, of course, if that flow is happening, how do you amplify that? And so kind of building on and facilitating that connection, how do you actually amplify that across all of your connected systems? So as an employee, if I'm already in one system, how do you make sure those behaviors are socialized and shown to me, and I can actually participate in the feedback of those in whatever system I'm in, whatever device I'm on, which feels like table stakes, just frankly from a consumer standpoint. As you continue to think about connection, about the new hire experience, if I'm a new EVP of product and I've just joined my team, what's happened over the past 30 days that I should know? What's happening in marketing versus sales? What core values are going on across different departments that I should care about? I'm really driving that connection there. And then, of course, as Corey's manager, for example, here, when I travel to Chicago and I want to have a one-on-one with Corey, I'd like to know what he's recently been working on, what his top value is, his top skill, who he's interacting with, and where are some areas of need so I can be a more in-tune manager. So as you think about connection and alignment, these are some key things that are already happening in the platforms. And then, of course, meaning, tying things to something meaningful around the company. What are we working on? And really tying in those performance conversations and giving your employees the ability to raise their hand, ask for feedback, give feedback, whether it's project-based, culture-based, or whatever it might be, and actually align with their managers in real time and thoughtfully grab those conversations from manager and employee, how often they're happening, what's the content of those, and pulling all of those together in a really meaningful way. And so if we set that aside and we think about driving those connections and meaning, and we move on to the rewards experience. If performance and if connection is not a one-size-fits-all, the rewards approach for our employees certainly should not be one-size-fits-all. One of the top redeemed rewards across our customers are more culturally based rewards, where we're saving money and we're saving time, but actually increasing teamwork and culture. If you give your employees, research actually shows that employees are spending their dollars outside of work on training and development. And so bringing that into your employee experience platform and allowing them to raise their hand and say, hey, I would actually like FaceTime with my executives to share an idea, to learn, or to spend their points on learning opportunities is a really interesting thing that we're capturing. So one, enabling that to happen. Excuse me, I blame this on that impact piece. Of all the customers and of all the rewards, if you will, having the ability to give, not receive, is the top redeemed reward across all platforms, whether that's employees actually spending their points on giving feedback. So they're willing to spend their own points, their own dollars, to give more recognition, to give more feedback, or in this next example, to spend time with each other, giving back in a meaningful way in the community, or helping a coworker in need. And as you think about that connection and that impact and that purpose, figuring out who's actually going to be participating in this with me and whether I opt in or opt out is all data we're collecting on employee motivations, preferences, and where they're spending their time. And then finally, we all have across our business that we know we invest time and money in, and they don't get the lift and they don't get the engagement from employees, but they're good for the business and they're good for the employees. And so giving them the opportunity to opt in and to participate, whether that's if you actually take time out and walk to lunch instead of sit at your desk, if you do something with another department that's out of your typical training plan, or in this case, if you take time out with a team and volunteer on the weekend, and oh, by the way, if you share proof in the system, we'll give you even more incentive. And that proof does two things. One, it allows me as an employee to actually have that feedback and share that story that I want to share with my culture and my team. But just as importantly, the data that we capture. Who they did it with, what happened, what did they learn, how were they impacted? All of this, when you combine the power of recognition and rewards and motivations, where I'm spending my time, who I'm interacting with, what's happening in my performance conversations, how often those performance conversations are happening, that's really where the innovation comes in and insights. So as a manager, I now know Megan, for example, typically redeems for events with the team, and all of a sudden, unusual activity alert tells me that she is redeeming her cash and her points out for gift cards. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, I don't know, but we've now pointed a flashlight for me as a manager to tune in. Unusual activity in terms of interaction patterns. So someone who typically interacts with a wide group of people, now that is declining. Is that something that I should tune into as a manager? Engagement flows up and down. What core values are happening in marketing but are missing in sales that we actually need to fine-tune? What top skills? Those people who are most influential across your culture, what do their values look like in action, and who are those people that they're interacting with? And if that happens to be a department that we're doubling in growth, that's important information for me to know as a talent acquisition team. I mentioned earlier that I do believe genuinely that managers and leaders always want to do good by their people, so this is really where it's pulling it all together. So it's not for lack of intent, but oftentimes it's just lack of access to the right information. So giving the voice of the employee, the trends, the alerts there for your managers to actually act on. And they might be good things, so the behaviors and the values that are actually helping your people succeed. This is an example of a global construction company, and how many of us have actually been, we're growing fast, we're struggling with collaboration or communication out to a field organization. So for them, their issue was really driving communication and collaboration out to the workforce. By us focusing on increasing that feedback and recognition from employee to manager, their operational metrics skyrocketed in those fields. And it also increased retention of that field organization. Again, by bringing together all this data, I now have the ability to look here where a product manager, even though it tells me that they're checking in, that the goals are on track, their engagement's declining, and their redemption patterns have changed in a really unusual way. So it allows me to act on potential flight risks and more deeply engage this top performer that I don't want to walk out the door. And then finally, of course, looking at product or team trends. So again, if I'm new or if I am joining a team, how do I get to know my team, my leader? What's going on in terms of top skills, top core values? If I'm recruiting top talent, what am I missing on my team? And how do we pull all of that data together for managers to act on? These are the innovations that can come when you actually focus on culture, engagement, and those performance indicators that we're all trying to give to our employees and pull them together in one platform. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Autumn. Great job. All right.